My number 3, speaking of MJF's promo with CM Punk after Full Gear 2021, when he talked about being bullied and how much CM Punk inspired him. He had the poster, right? Frank Hartgrave's here, and he's like giving me physical cues.
Talking about when he was getting the pennies thrown at him.
Because he was Jewish. He was getting mocked because he was Jewish. It's one of the greatest promos.
Yeah.
Frank Hartgrave's going to join us later on in the second hour from CZW. Looking forward to that. Chiming in on the promo, baby. I love it. Dave LaGreca, Tommy Dreamer.
Did I make up for it?
Abdul the Butcher entrance theme. WCW entrance theme.
No, that was his album. That was his disco album from Japan.
I don't have that.
Well, now you're gonna
hold on. Let me go to eBay.
Dave will be distracted for the
Hold on, I'm going to eBay right now.
Minutes.
Abdul the Butcher.
And it has like a nice Halloween vibe, but that was his disco album.
Abdul the Butcher disco album. Putting it on, see if I can get
his disco jam.
Abdullah
the Butcher.
No, I got it.
Okay, it's white and red.
Ooh, Abdul the Butcher that's signed. $350. Oh, for the album, I could get it for. I know this is only the 7-inch. $88. It's not bad. It's a steal. I'm a completist. I need to get it. Because I have all the other wrestlers' disco albums, so I have to get Abdul the Butcher's, you know?
I have the Terry Funk one right behind me.
I have all the Terry Funk albums, and I have the Jerry Lawler albums as well.
I don't know, that Abdul the Butcher signed album might be pretty interesting. It's a collector's item.
Now I'm bringing in Frank Hartgrave right now. Frank, what did you say?
I was just going to ask you if you have the Nick Gage disco album.
No, Nick Gage does not have a disco album.
Of course he does. MDK, All Funkin' Day.
All right, we're going to play that in a little bit, Frank. Let's bring in Frank Hartgrave. CCW, what's up, buddy? How are you, man?
It is great to be here on Busted Open. Hi, Dave. Hi, Tommy.
I love that Frank was so excited and got so into our conversation, he started chiming in before I actually introduced him. But, you know, Frank, I wanted to get you on. I met you at Pandora's Box with Nick Gage, and,
absolutely,
you know, this is a long time coming. Deathmatch wrestling has been in the news cycle these last couple of weeks. We had Gail Kim on our show last week, and I know she had some things to say on social media. But that's social media. but we had a conversation about it here on the show.
Okay.
And what I said is, like, I compare it to this way, and I want to get your take.
Yeah.
And I said this to Gail, and she agreed. I said, listen, deathmatch wrestling is not for a mainstream audience. It's not for everybody. I kind of compared it to punk rock music. Like, it's not for the mainstream. It's not meant to be for the mainstream. Yeah. But the people who love it are hardcore, and it's no less of an art form than anything else. And I do look at deathmatch wrestling as an art form. And honestly, the less that people get it, I feel even better about it, because it's not meant to be for everybody. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I like to hear you say that. It really is an art form, and it's hard not to consider an art form if you watch something like Tournament of Death 22 that we just pulled up here in September, where you got guys like Drake Younger in there, Nick Gage, and Akira, great wrestlers in their own right, and then also great deathmatch wrestlers. Mickey Knuckles, right? Underrated as a worker, for sure, because they work death matches. So it's not fair to, you know, slight them because of the style that they work, or to put down that style as a whole. Maybe it's not for you. That's absolutely fine. It's not mainstream. Absolutely fine as well.
Yeah, and when you look at a Nick Gage, we've seen Nick Gage go mainstream.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen him on AEW television. We've seen him in the ring with the Chris Jericho. That doesn't happen unless you're catching fire and people are talking about it.
Absolutely. I think that right now, more than ever, deathmatch wrestling is hot. It's interesting. That's why I'm here talking about CZW, because what we're doing, this tournament of death, probably one of the biggest tournament of death since before the pandemic.
So for our audience, and obviously we're on Sirius XM, this is a mainstream audience. Thunder Rosa and I want to say it was a little over a year ago, dedicated an entire show on deathmatch wrestling.
Nice.
We had Nick on, we had a lot of deathmatch wrestlers on, just to kind of educate our audience about it, but also to celebrate it. Talk about that tournament. So for our audience that may not be familiar about it, talk about the history of that tournament and what it's done for CCW.
Yeah, so Tournament of Death is really a mainstay of the deathmatch scene. The largest, most prestigious deathmatch tournament in America, easily. Longest running as well. So we're on the 22nd, year of Tournament of Death, and Tournament of Death never really stopped. A lot of stuff in CZW came to a halt during COVID. But we were able to kind of keep Tournament of Death going. A lot of that being that it's outdoors. It's out on the owner, DJ Hyde's farm, right? We moved it over there. It's been there for many years now. And but we had about almost 1,000 people, maybe even definitely close to 1,000 people at this year's Tournament of Death. So it's a big thing. People come from all over. I talked to wrestlers that were there, fans that were there. Some people are driving 18 hours, 20 hours. They're flying in from overseas. It's a big thing. And for this year, for the first time in history, we live streamed it, and hopefully we can carry that tradition on throughout the years as well. So that was very exciting for us to be able to show that to you live, because as you know, wrestling is live. That's where it lives.
What's the biggest misconception about not just deathmatch wrestling, but about CCW?
I guess that's where that is all we are.
Okay.
All we do is deathmatch wrestling, but that is the furthest thing from the truth. Those are the clips you're going to see online, right? You're going to see crazy stuff and things that you're like, oh my God, that's insane. At this Tournament of Death, we had J.J. Allen come out there. Talking about Beavis and Butthead earlier. He was on Beavis and Butthead just a few episodes ago. His stunt team, POR, so they were there, had a flaming car, driving across DJ Hyde's farm, hit a guy with that car later on in the match. You're going to see that stuff online. That's not all we are. We have some of the finest professional wrestling talent here on the East Coast that works, if not exclusively for CZW, predominantly for CZW. 1 out of 8 people you see on TV came through CZW at some point. It's a prestigious organization that has a rich history of storytelling and phenomenal wrestling.
Tommy, your thoughts on this generation of CCW, and again, a company that's been around for a long time and has a strong and long reputation.
27 years.
27 years.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I worked for them. I enjoyed working for them. They have their own fan base, and everybody who does deathmatch wrestling, there are a lot of good wrestlers out there but they found their niche doing their deathmatch stuff. So yes, and there's a rabid fan base for it, and what we're talking about, the tournament, a lot of people do come out and support the tournament.
No doubt. One conversation that Bully and I were having on the show, and I think another misconception, is about psychology.
Oh yeah,
and I think a lot of people they look at those little clips online and they think it's just stunts for the sake of doing a stunt to get themselves to go viral on social media. But I've watched a lot of your stuff. I watched the tournament. Good. There is a lot of psychology involved in these matches, right?
Oh, jeez. I mean, just watch the opener between Nick Gage and Joe Dredd and tell me there's no psychology in deathmatch wrestling. It's impossible to tell me that. Tell me there's no technical talent when you watch Drake Younger versus Akira. Tell me that there's no technical wrestling happening. It's impossible. Look at the finals between Schlack and, I don't know, spoilers, Dredd. I think moments in there are some of the same moments you'll see in, 5-star rated, Dave Meltzer matches or whatnot. The psychology is absolutely there when you check out a tournament like Tournament of Death. Now, this is the cream of the crop. This is the top of the top. everybody in Tournament of Death, these are the #1 deathmatch wrestlers in the world, not just in America. Because we have guys from overseas like Tim Strange showing up to this thing, Big Effin' Joe last year. So yeah, it's a lot of these wrestlers, and I interview them in depth on our YouTube channel. A lot of times we do big deep dives with them, go over their whole careers, and we find out that most of them are traditional wrestlers for 5 to 8 years, 10 years before they ever start deathmatch wrestling, and they have that foundation going into it.
You know, Frank, for me, and I've been very lucky, and obviously Tommy has been a part of the show, Bully, Mark Henry, Thunder Rosa, Nick Nemeth, Bishop. So many people have been a part of the show and have really gotten behind what we're doing here in the brand. Busted Open's been on the air here on SiriusXM since 2009, but it's not easy. Getting people, getting executives to understand what pro wrestling is extremely difficult. And now we're a whole channel, Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7. I got to think it's even 10 times worse, Frank, for you, right? Because at least I can lean on the mainstream appeal that wrestling has. It's so difficult for you. And I know for myself, I put my whole heart, body, mind, soul into this product. I know you do the same. Like, how difficult is it for you to do that, to jump right in, and you have, but then also get people to try to understand what your goal is when it comes to this company?
Yeah, I mean, I think coming on here today is a big part of that. And that's kind of my role. I'm like a doorway. I mean, look, I don't know what the perception is, especially people who don't know me. They might think I'm a deathmatch fan since I was a wee kid or something, watching it, late at night or something in secret. I'm brand new to this, guys. Just as of a year ago, my first deathmatch show was Cage of Death, and I hadn't seen anything up until that. And honestly, I was like a lot of people. I'm like, I don't know if I'm into this. I don't know what this is. Isn't this just dumb? And man, I went down there and I started meeting these people, and a regular roster, so much passion, so much enthusiasm. I was like, something's going on here. These guys are really heating up. And I meet the deathmatch wrestlers and some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. I'm like, man, my perceptions are just being blown out here. And the more time I spend in CZW, and I start going back into the history of CZW and watching it and getting into Tournament of Death. This is my first Tournament of Death that I went to, Tournament of Death 22. It's hard not to be a fan when you see that much passion and enthusiasm, and that's just what I'm trying to spread out into the world. I think that's the message. That's the accessible part. These people are passionate about what they do. They are professionals. They dedicate their lives to it, and it's interesting.
So how did you go from, I don't know, to like now, this is it. This is like, I mean, that is a big jump.
Big jump.
That's a that's a big leap of faith. So it's for somebody who wasn't familiar with it, then watched it and kind of fell for it, but then also doing what you're doing and kind of waving the flag for this.
I mean, I'm curious. What did you think? You watched Tournament of Death 22. Was that the first time you watched a Tournament of Death?
I've only seen bits and pieces. Yeah. Alex Metz, who was our producer for a long time here on Busted Open, he's a Philly guy. So he would go to the tournament every year. So it was the first one to get me to really. I heard of CCW, and maybe I had some of the same preconceived notions.
Absolutely.
So, but that was the first time I watched like the tournament from beginning to end. So like I saw matches, and I started falling in love with deathmatch wrestling. But I'm also an old school guy to see Onita, to see Foley, and to see Terry Funk. Like, those are the OGs. So I've always had, the exploding barbed wire death matches, which we talk about here, attracted 45,000 fans to it. So I've always had an admiration to it. And, I'm somebody that when it comes to pro wrestling, the blood, I do get attracted to that violent stage of the wrestling, so it was a little bit easier for me to swallow and to get into it. Yeah, well, I mean, we made some efforts this year to make Tournament of Death 22 more accessible to people than ever, and some of that was, I noticed that. Not I'm not going to say commercialized, but at the same time, I think you understand that, hey, if we're going to bring new fans in, we got to make it just a little bit different.
And that comes from the video packages that play throughout the show. If you watch Tournament of Death 22, you don't have to do any pre-work. You can just come in, watch Tournament of Death 22. We're going to set you up at the start. We're going to tell you who's in it. And before every match, there's going to be some information, some video packages professionally produced that are going to play. They're going to set the story up for you and fill you in. And there's a lot of storytelling. That's the number one thing about CZW that gets me excited, is how much we're invested in storytelling. It's not just big spots, moments, dream matches. It is storytelling. First and foremost, that's our company directive.
And Tommy, and we've talked about this here on Busted Open, and they did such a tremendous job. And we talked about sometimes where, a video package would explain why this person is here or their story. Like because I'll admit, 75% of the talent that was involved in that tournament, I was not familiar with. But by the time that tournament was done, I knew everyone. I knew I was emotionally connected with all the performers. Like, I think that's a forgotten art when it comes to pro wrestling. Is not everybody's going to know everybody that's on that roster. You got to give them a reason to not only know who that person is, but to be emotionally connected with that wrestler that's stepping into the ring.
If you don't have episodic television, which obviously they do not, yes, you have to tell people why people are fighting. And if you do a good job and presentation is key, it helps tell that story and why men and women are going into this tournament of death and risking, they're going to bleed, why they're going to do that. Of course, it's going to get you emotionally involved. Look at WWE does it perhaps the best they're doing it now with Cody and Seth and making it like a 3-part series. And both guys have the same discussion of the same topic, but your opinions vary at the specific point. And that's why they have their issues. And then to recap and to remind people, oh, yeah, they have done this a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Cody leaves. So, yes, it's putting interest in a match that for guys that we see each and every week, but it's a renewed interest. For this, it's why the hell are these people willing to do this? And then you hear it. And that's the more interesting thing, of people and why they like it, or even like you said, why you like it as a fan.
Yeah. And I think we've seen a lot of mainstream talent like a Shane Strickland want to do deathmatch wrestling because they want to be able to do everything in this art form.
Well, he comes from here.
Yeah.
He was in Cage of Death. Before he went on to NXT, he did a Cage of Death with us. And he did it like a year here. And that's where that comes from. And I love seeing that stuff. And that's where the mainstream comes from. Right? Like maybe Tournament of Death isn't going to be mainstream, and maybe that's okay. But I love seeing it infiltrate these big shows. You see that match between Hangman and Swerve, and it's like, man, that's some CZW influence right there, and I love to see it.
Dave, the first place I met Trick Williams was at CZW.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. Yep, Trick, we're real proud of Trick. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it shows. I think, and I know this from interviewing MVP, where MVP loved wrestling so much that one of the things he wanted to do was be a part of every aspect of this sport, and I feel like deathmatch wrestling is a big part. And it almost feels like, listen, let's be honest here. Music, movies, even wrestling, it's kind of lost its edge. It's kind of lost the rebellion part of a lot of reasons why we fall in love with this in the first place. I look at a CCW and it's edgy.
No,
it's rebellious.
Yeah,
it's non-commercial. It's, you know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you, man. Like, sometimes people ask me, what are you trying to do? What are your goals? And I'm like, I'm really happy right here. I'm a rough edges guy. I like to curse a lot, and I like chaos. Sometimes people will complain about the stuff that goes on TV. Oh, there's production errors. Oh, it was chaotic. I'm like, yeah, I like that. I'm into that. So CZW's great.
Is your eye on anything outside? Like, can you watch like an AEW or a WWE? Yeah. I mean, is that something that you're interested in? Is that something that you can enjoy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, being entering CZW is definitely, it's turned the volume knob all the way up. So bringing it back down, it's a little different. But I appreciate that stuff so much, and I always enjoy seeing our people on TV too. So yeah, that's always great.
So you do feel kind of like that, like a proud father.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, CZW is so proud of our alumni. We mention them all the time on social media. When Joe Gacy won the tag titles,
yeah.
I mean, the whole place was ecstatic.
There's something about, and I'm a Jersey guy.
Yeah.
There's something about Jersey. Yeah. What is it about that Jersey audience? It's what about it? What about that? Like, especially that area, like Jersey, Philly,
yeah.
That valley, that just like talk about that type of fan.
What they say about Philly wrestling crowds is 1,000% true. And I know Tommy can attest to that. I mean, there ain't nothing like it. They are great people to perform for. We love putting on shows for the people in this area. Not that we don't get out, we do international stuff. We've been down to Texas not too long ago. We did stuff in Canada, but yeah, I can't ever see CZW leaving New Jersey, Philly, Delaware as like kind of our home base.
Yeah, and there's a certain type of fan though. Yeah.
Drinking. Are we talking about the CZW fan?
I'm just talking. Yeah, I'm kind of talking about like, what they're passionate. Whether it's their sports team, yeah. Whether it's just the music that they listen to, yep. Whether it's CCW, it's like they're very, very passionate
and outspoken and loud, and they'll let you know it. They'll let you know it. If they like it, they'll let you know it. If they don't like it, they'll let you know it.
Tommy, drink beer from the can, no glass, none of that bullshit.
Dirty can.
Red can, red can Bud Heavy. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of that, we're working on getting a CZW beer of our own. We're down at Neshaminy Creek all the time, and we're in talks right now for a CZW brew. So that's pretty exciting stuff. Out of a can, no, not a glass.
Yeah, you can't put it in the glass.
No, right in a CZW can.
Love it. I love it, man. So talk about you. I want to know about you.
Oh man. Okay.
Talk about what you bring to this. Your talent, your style, yourself as an individual. You're betting on this. Like just talk about like where you were before CCW and then how you got involved.
Yeah, so I'm formerly known as Mr. Hartgrave, now Frank Hartgrave. Mr. Hartgrave used to do documentary videos on YouTube, still does from time to time. You can find me, type in Mr. Hartgrave to any social media platform, stuff's going to come up. And I did that for many years. And I did some documentaries of friends of yours, Thunder Rosa, notably, and some other people that have been on the show, and those are on there. And it was through that CZW found me. They appreciated my ability to tell stories, to fill in the blanks, so as it were. Because, I hear on this program often, you're like, I don't know who this guy is, and I don't know what the story is. So my content, I sought to tell the stories. Here's why Minoru Suzuki is interesting, right? Stuff like that. And they saw that, and they said, let's bring him in and have him be a part of this and help us tell our stories. The untold stories. And man, I just saw opportunity when I came into CZW because of all the passionate people, all the talent. And then you have these deathmatch wrestlers who get so much disrespect, or even if it's not disrespect, it's not enough respect. There are no shortage of podcasters and programs for mainstream professional wrestlers to go on and have their stories told and be able to speak their minds and talk to their fans. For deathmatch wrestlers, you don't really see it. So I was like, maybe I'm having problems breaking in here or there, or maybe that is going to be a saturated market. I said, if I can take the same level of interview that you see happening with mainstream wrestlers and bring that to deathmatch wrestlers and put some respect on this and tell their stories and preserve their legacies, maybe that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, and I think it shows. I feel like you made an immediate impact. Do you feel that same way? Like, do you see where, like you said, those gaps? Do you feel like, do you understand and are proud of what you've been able to accomplish and bring to this?
Oh, immensely proud. I mean, you watch a show like Tournament of Death 22, there's a lot of video packages in there that I either produced, made, created or edited or was a part of or inspired. And it's just so great to see the presentation of CZW coming up to where, the WWEs, the AEWs are. And it's only going to keep getting better. 2026 is going to be a banner year for us, and I'm so excited to be a part of that.
What do you have planned for 2026?
Oh,
Just
boy.
to put on people's radar. Because I want to be able to talk about this more here on Busted Open.
Yeah, well, that would be a great part of it, is to be back here periodically, bringing some of our big stars in here. We're going to be working with all of the top wrestlers on this coast and other coasts. I feel like one big thing that's going to be happening very soon is we're going to be reopening our school, our brick and mortar school. That's going to be big. We're going to see a lot of big names come out of that school. I'll be back here to talk about that if you'd like me to. You can follow us on social media, CZW. We're all over the place. That's a big thing that's going to happen. We're going to see bigger crowds. We're going to see bigger venues. We're going to see consistency. One thing we talk about a lot is that we know we don't have television. We need to do shows. Our aim is to do them weekly. We'll see where we get with that. I am confident we can pull it off. And having a venue of our own is really going to help. You're going to see that happen as well in 2026.
Is there and I feel like this is not just an issue in wrestling, but even in music and movies. CCW has a hardcore fan base.
Yeah.
Are you afraid as this company gets, and it's been around for a long time, but now recently is where it's starting to build and get bigger? Is there that fear of getting bigger? Like you said, weekly television, maybe getting a little mainstream where that hardcore fan base might get upset at the fact that this renegade company that we love is starting to get a little bit, quote unquote mainstream.
I mean, honestly, they've already had that. They've already had that shock. It happened years ago. Before the pandemic, I don't know, you got to look back. We were doing big stuff. We were playing big venues, and things were approaching what we're talking about now. We had CZW television pilots that were being filmed. Talks were happening, and then the pandemic hit and just shut everything down. We just got hit so hard by the pandemic. So it's really been a rebuilding process, like from nothing. So you saw that. You saw that in the years leading up. You saw that in 2025. If you go watch our back catalog on IWTV, you can see what we were doing in 2025. And 2026, we're just going to keep going and keep going. And yeah, there's going to be pushback. I mean, there has been pushback. There continues to be pushback. But we pride ourselves in being many things. We're not just a deathmatch company with death matches on it. It's part of our history. It's part of our legacy. We're not ashamed of it. We're proud of it. Tournament of Death is going to carry on forever. Cage of Death as well. But we always have room for more, and maybe bring deathmatch wrestling a little more into the mainstream ain't such a bad thing.
Is there, for our audience that's listening now that might not be familiar, is there something other than the Tournament of Death, this past Tournament of Death? Yeah. Is there something that they should watch that you would recommend for them to tune into that'd be like, this is a good example of what our product delivers?
I mean, we do have a show coming up on October 18th that's going to be filmed on a battleship. So that's pretty exciting. That's going to be filmed live on IWTV. So you can jump on that right now, and we intend to make that a really good show. So
okay,
yeah, we got a main event in there with we have almost the second longest running CZW World Heavyweight Champion in Aaron Ash in the main event in a no rope barbed wire match against Jimmy Lloyd on that show.
All right, awesome. How can people connect with you? How can they connect with CCW? How can they be a part of this great company?
Yeah, man, just follow us on social media. Combat Zone Wrestling, czwrestling.com is a great resource. It's a great website. Big shout out to the guys and people that run that. You can always go there and get all of our social links. You can follow me, Mr. Hartgrave, Hartgrave, wherever you consume media, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, X, YouTube. Type it in, you'll hit upon it. Find my link tree. It's all linked.
All right, love it. And last thing before I let you go, as a filmmaker, what do you regard as the perfect movie?
Oh, whoa. Oh God, I thought about this. And the answer, and it's fitting for the company I'm in. It's American Psycho.
Okay.
Yeah, that's maybe I shouldn't admit that in public, but here it is. It's on record now.
If I would have known that, we would play some Huey Lewis.
I was trying to get
interview.
I was trying to get one of our guys to use it as his theme song. I'm like, come on, man.
Are you a horror movie guy? Are you?
I am. Yeah. No. If you don't see the visual on this, I look like a weird vampire. So I think it's obvious. I end up at a lot of horror conventions for CZW talking to people and being like, oh, you're into horror movies and stuff. I mean, look, there ain't really much of a difference between horror movies and deathmatch wrestling. It's like the horror movie of wrestling. That's all it is.
Did you see Weapons?
I haven't seen that yet. Got to catch up.
I'm not going to say anything. Kelly did not like it. I loved it.
Waste of time.
But to me, the greatest movie of all time is the original Dawn of the Dead. So
it's great stuff.
Coming from there,
anything Romero is awesome.
Yeah, and he's the king. But seriously, thanks for coming up here. I know it's not an easy ride to come into the city
no problem.
During the week, but I really would like to do this again because now that this channel is 24/7, obviously the bulk of what we talk about is WWE and AEW and obviously TNA.
Yeah.
I'd really like to start talking more independent wrestling, and
awesome.
I definitely want to talk more CCW and deathmatch wrestling. So I appreciate you coming up to talk about that today.
Hey, it's exciting stuff. I'm telling you guys, check out a show, check out your local independent scene. If it's not CZW, check out whatever's near you. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. It's the passion. It's the enthusiasm. It'll hook you.
All right, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Right, excellent. Thanks.
What do you think of CCW now that, Frank's not in the room anymore? He left. Yeah.
Why are you a child?
I'm a fan, but I know not everybody is. I've known Frank for a while. I met Frank, he talked about that Thunder Rosa documentary. I believe that might have been the first time that I met him was right before the pandemic. And what Frank is bringing, what I think Frank has brought to CCW is just what he said in our interview, Tommy, about kind of filling in those voids, psychology in the matches, storytelling, those vignettes, and watch that Tournament of Death. Amazing job with the vignettes going into each match. Kind of like what we see, in the Olympics or what we see before a big fight in boxing, where you get to know that person and who they are. And it helps you because most of those names you're not going to know. So you talked about a Trick Williams being in CCW. You've wrestled for CCW. Swerve being a part of CCW. But most of those people you're not going to know. But you hear the stories of who they are and why this is important to them and that emotional connection. And you need, like he said, storylines, psychology. And I feel like a lot of people, because they just look at those little clips online and on social media, they say, all right, this is garbage wrestling or this is trash. But there is a lot of psychology involved. Tommy, when you talk about like a Mick Foley and a Terry Funk and Onita, these are legends in the business that have been a part of deathmatch wrestling. That's why I say Terry Funk's my number 2 on my list of the greatest of all time. He's on my Mount Rushmore because Terry Funk could be in a technical scientific match for the NWA World Championship. He could be in ECW. He could be having a death match with Mick Foley or Onita, or he could do an entertainment WWE match. It's all part of that same platform, that same canvas, Tommy. That's professional wrestling. Yeah, it's important, and I think like people look at it as an art form, and when you look at it as an art form, you want to learn all the different types of art form. And Bully and I have this discussion a lot, Tommy, about is pro wrestling a sport? Pro wrestling is always going to be a sport to me, and this is just aspects of that. And again, not for everybody. If you're not a fan, I completely understand, but also respect the fact that there are people who are fans and respect what deathmatch wrestling is and the people who are competing and how passionate they are about it. All right, so thanks again to Frank Hartgrave for coming all the way into New York City to be in studio for that interview.